Ancient astronauts visited Earth and influenced our culture? This is one of the most controversial and captivating theories in recent years. According to proponents of this theory, ancient religions might be interpreted as testimonies of a potential alien contact that ancient humans had with an extraterrestrial race. Primitive humans mistook these alien beings from other worlds as deities and sought to pass down the event and teachings they learned through sacred rituals and ancient scriptures. For those who support the ancient astronaut theory, writings like the Bible or various archaeological findings could be evidence of contact between humans and extraterrestrials. Is it plausible that beings with superior knowledge could be mistaken by a less advanced civilization as gods? It seems so. History teaches us that this is possible. The cargo cult emerged in just such a way. The cult spread mainly during World War II among populations living on the isolated islands of the South Pacific, far removed from any form of technology. During the war, supplies were airdropped onto these islands for the American Army, which at the time was fighting against the Japanese and occupying the islands. These supplies intended for the military were also intercepted by the indigenous population who benefited from them. At the same time, these indigenous people were so overwhelmed by the military's technology that they considered them to be gods. They were so astonished by the massive cargo planes dropping food, clothing, drinks, and various goods that they believed these gifts were not intended for the white men occupying their lands, but were sent by their ancestors. At the end of the war, the bases were abandoned, the military left the islands, and the supply drops ceased. The island inhabitants believed that the gods had forsaken them. They began to develop intricate religious rituals in an attempt to regain the favor of these sky deities who had once sent them food and various goods, hoping for their return. For years, they performed these propitiatory rites, hoping to appease the gods and once again receive food and clothing. These events, documented by various anthropologists, have piqued the interest of many scholars. They wondered if ancient humans, upon losing contact with beings from other worlds, might have reinterpreted behaviors and actions, elevating space visitors to the status of deities, much like what happened with the indigenous populations of the South Pacific. History suggests that the ancient astronaut theory could indeed be plausible. If a primitive civilization can mistake superior technology for a divine sign, are there primitive societies that harbor advanced knowledge? Knowledge that might testify to an encounter with beings from other worlds? If ancient astronauts met humans in bygone eras, could an isolated society distant from the modern world have retained remarkable knowledge? An intriguing ritual that seems reminiscent of the cargo cult, but linked to extraterrestrial civilizations, is that of the Dogon tribe. The Dogon are a community living in West Africa, specifically in Mali, a community that has remained isolated for centuries and is considered primitive, far removed from modern technology. French anthropologist Marcel Griol lived among the African tribe for years. In the late 1940s, he shared an extraordinary story that he claimed was relayed to him by the tribe's leaders. The elders of the community shared with the French anthropologist secrets they had jealously guarded for generations. They spoke of a time when an alien civilization settled on Earth and imparted to their ancestors profound astronomical knowledge. A civilization they referred to as the Nomo. The elders spoke of their awareness that our galaxy, the Milky Way, is spiral-shaped, that Jupiter has 4 satellites orbiting it, and that Saturn has rings. Despite their limited general knowledge, they asserted their awareness that planets and Earth revolve around the Sun. But what most astonished the anthropologist was the in-depth knowledge the tribe's elders had of the stars in the Sirius system. According to the tribal leader, Sirius is a system composed of 3 stars, now known as Sirius A, Sirius B, and C. What's astounding is that they knew Sirius B is a less luminous and denser star. Indeed, we now recognize it as a white dwarf. But what is even more astonishing today is that the elders were aware of the 3rd star, Sirius C, and even knew its exact orbit around Sirius. This knowledge is all the more extraordinary when we consider that it was only in the 1990s that astronomers were able to observe and discover Sirius C for the first time. This discovery was made possible only by calculating the orbital anomalies of the other 2 stars. Sirius C is a red dwarf, much less luminous compared to the other stars in the system. How did a primitive tribe in a remote part of Africa come to know about the Sirius system? Is this compelling evidence that the small Dogon tribe carries ancient knowledge from a highly advanced alien civilization? The account of anthropologist Marcel Griol piqued the interest of the scientific community. However, there were also many skeptics. Some believed the tribe might have obtained their astronomical knowledge from the numerous missionaries or various travelers who visited Mali since the early 1900s. Others felt that the anthropologist might have misinterpreted, and even if unintentionally, guided the tribal leader's statements, skewing and aligning them with our scientific and astronomical knowledge. Whatever the truth may be, the anthropologist's account serves as a fascinating testimony for those seeking evidence in support of the ancient astronaut theory. If oral tradition can be tainted over time by the influence of travelers, are there ancient documents that can confirm the theory of ancient astronauts? Some are convinced there are. The branch of ufology that deals with the search for ancient written testimonies is called clipiology. Proponents of clipiology delve into ancient texts, searching literature for accounts of unidentified flying objects. The term was coined by Umberto Corazzi from the Latin word clypeus, the name of the shield used by Roman legionnaires. He used the Latin term based on how authors describe the appearance of clypae ardentes, fiery shields. Several Latin authors discuss this phenomenon. Cicero, in De Divinatione, speaks of a nocturnal sun, luminous spheres, and loud noises in the sky. Pliny the Elder writes of fiery shields darting across the skies of ancient Rome. Seneca describes numerous sightings of inexplicable luminous beams that remained stationary in the skies for days. There are indeed numerous accounts of luminous spheres and strange objects in the skies in Latin literature. However, for the scientific community, these descriptions hold no scientific value. The authors might have interpreted and rephrased, using the language of their time, meteorological or astronomical phenomena, such as bolides, comets, and meteors. While the phenomena described by Latin authors might have scientific explanations, and no one can determine with certainty what they truly witnessed, the ancient Indian texts are of a different nature. These ancient texts, authored by unknown writers, provide detailed accounts of ancient nuclear wars, flying machines, and journeys beyond Earth's orbit. In the Mahabharata, one of the greatest Indian epic poems that narrates the history of the ancient royal Bharata family, a single blast that vaporized entire armies, creating towering clouds one above the other. In the Ramayana, another significant Indian epic, The Vimanas are described. Objects capable of flying both in the air and in space, and even submerging underwater. Various texts provide detailed descriptions of these objects, as well as advanced scientific notions. Can these ancient Indian texts truly describe a lost technology and ancient wars between civilizations, possibly even extraterrestrial ones? For scholars, these are merely epic poems and ancient myths, allegorical and imaginative reinterpretations of ancient events. On the other hand, if such an advanced civilization truly existed in India thousands of years ago, there would still be some remnants visible today. Is that really the case? Has there truly been no evidence found to corroborate the tales of these ancient Indian epics? The ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata, describes what, when compared to our contemporary knowledge, might be interpreted as a nuclear explosion. A single projectile charged with all the power of the universe. An incandescent column of smoke and flame, as bright as 10,000 suns, rose in all its splendor. It was an unknown weapon. That mighty weapon obliterated masses of warriors, horses, elephants, and chariots, as if they were dry leaves of trees, carried away by the wind. Towering clouds opened up, one above the other, like a series of colossal umbrellas. If events like these truly occurred, it might still be possible today to find evidence supporting these tales. Some researchers have identified the Lonar crater, a crater located not far from Mumbai, as the potential epicenter of an ancient nuclear explosion. The crater, formed in basalt rock, is about 150 meters deep, and there seem to be no traces of a possible meteorite impact. The crater's origin remains uncertain to this day, but it appears to be too ancient to have been caused during the wars described in the ancient texts. Questions. The statements by David Davenport seem to find connections with the old tales. The researcher studied ancient Hindu texts and the remains of the city of Mohenjo-Daro for over 10 years. According to Davenport, the city was destroyed 4,000 years ago by a powerful nuclear explosion. The city appears to have been exposed to intense heat. He believes there's an epicenter where walls were destroyed, melted, and vitrified, as if exposed to extremely high temperatures. During archaeological excavations, numerous skeletons were found scattered throughout the city's streets. The skeletons were huddled together, some holding hands, as if they had been caught off guard by a sudden catastrophic event. Why weren't these bodies buried, left instead on the streets and not scavenged by wildlife? Another remarkable detail is the presence of high radiation levels in the area. The skeletons themselves exhibit high radiation. For David Davenport, Mohenjo-Daro was destroyed by a powerful nuclear explosion and could be evidence supporting the ancient Hindu tales. The anomalies of Mohenjo-Daro piqued the interest of the scientific community. However, many scholars rejected the nuclear explosion hypothesis. They argued that not all houses were destroyed. Some mud brick homes still stand today and would unlikely have withstood a violent nuclear blast. The mystery of Mohenjo-Daro remains unsolved. It's probably not definitive proof supporting the tales of ancient Indian epics, but its peculiarities continue to be a subject of study to this day. Ancient texts provide numerous insights into the ancient astronaut theory. But are there also archaeological findings that might confirm a possible alien encounter in antiquity? This is the realm explored by space archaeology, identifying traces and archaeological artifacts of an ancient meeting between humans and aliens. One of the most mysterious artifacts that has intrigued researchers for years is the Nazca lines. Around 300 designs etched into the sand depict gigantic figures and geometric shapes, impossible to discern from the ground and fully visible only from above. Who created these unique figures and why? These intricate designs were discovered in the Nazca Desert in Peru, an extremely arid plateau that stretches for about 80 kilometers. It's believed that the lines were drawn between 300 BC and 500 AD. Although it's challenging to date the figures precisely, carbon dating hasn't provided a definitive result. The dating was derived by cross-referencing and analyzing various artifacts from the Nazca civilization, including hieroglyphs. But how were these vast designs created? It's assumed they were made by removing the top layer of the soil, rich in iron oxides, thus revealing the lighter ground beneath. However, a challenge posed by scholars is that it's impossible to appreciate the figures from the ground. Only from a height of about 300 meters can they be fully discerned. How then were they created? Numerous theories have been proposed, with some even suggesting that the ancient people might have been able to construct primitive hot air balloons capable of flight. But no evidence has been presented to support this. It's then assumed that they were initially created in miniature and then, with the help of a grid of ropes, scaled up to their vast sizes. Undoubtedly, those who created them had solid geometric knowledge. While the creation of the Nazca lines is a captivating puzzle, understanding why an ancient civilization would expend time, energy, and resources to craft these mysterious figures is even more crucial. Scholars have proposed various theories. Some believe they might serve as a kind of solar calendar. Researcher Maria Rika identified astronomical correspondences with the stars of Orion's belt, suggesting the designs could represent a vast astronomical calendar. However, this theory was partly refuted by subsequent studies, which highlighted that only a small portion of the designs was correctly oriented. Some proponents of the ancient astronaut theory believe the lines were the work of an alien civilization, at least initially. They suggest that the local population, having learned the technique, replicated the designs. Supporting this theory, there are numerous legends in Nazca and Peru that speak of a people of the sky, or gods who descended to Earth in ancient times. Other researchers connect the Nazca lines to the discovery of elongated skulls, considering these as potential evidence of hybridization between humans and aliens. Among the designs, one that has garnered attention appears to resemble an astronaut. However, upon closer analysis, it might be a stylized representation of a priest. Even more intriguing and mysterious is the depiction of a spider. This particular spider belongs to the Ricinulae species, a rare specimen that resides in a specific area of the Amazon rainforest. The spider has the unique characteristic of having its reproductive apparatus on its right leg, separate from its genital organs. It measures about 6 millimeters on average, and these details can only be discerned under a microscope. How did the Nazca people depict this rare spider that lived hundreds of kilometers away and know of its unique features, which are impossible to see with the naked eye? And why did they depict it? The Nazca lines remain a captivating puzzle, still a subject of study today. Currently, the most widely accepted theories among researchers suggest that the Nazca lines might have been sacred paths, followed during religious rituals connected to an ancient calendar. Others believe these ancient rituals were linked to water. In recent years, a water network, a sophisticated aqueduct, was discovered near the artifacts. This has led to the idea that some designs might have marked areas where water was present, or the designs were a way to thank the gods for the water found. For a people living in a desert area, water was an invaluable resource. Evidence of an ancient encounter between humans and aliens, an astronomical calendar, a sacred path, or gratitude towards the gods for water. The mystery of the Nazca Lines has not been fully unraveled, and it continues to captivate scholars from around the world. While researchers seem to have found explanations related to the ancient rituals of the local population for the Nazca Lines, there are enigmatic artifacts whose origins appear entirely unknown and which, moreover, seem to pose a danger to humans. We're talking about the Siberian Olgias. The Olgias are located in the Republic of Yakutia in northeastern Russia, in one of the coldest places on Earth, the Siberian taiga. This region is characterized by a vast coniferous forest, swamps, and rivers that stretch for hundreds of thousands of kilometers, in a territory that is inhospitable and largely unexplored by humans. According to local tales, in a specific area known as the Valley of Death, unique structures called Olgias rise. This area, where these structures are found, was marked by a mysterious ancient cataclysm that uprooted part of the forest and hurled rocks for hundreds of kilometers. Local accounts describe several metallic dome-shaped structures in the Valley of Death. These structures are partially buried and sunk into the permafrost. Measuring between 6 to 9 meters, they appear to be made of copper. Some of these domes have an opening, and through a ladder, it's possible to access an interior circular tunnel with various chambers. Despite the mild temperature inside the structures, contrasting with the intense cold typical of the taiga, the local population, consisting of nomads and hunters, avoids using the domes as shelters from the elements. According to their stories, those who have spent multiple nights inside the domes died shortly after due to unknown illnesses. In 1947, a gold prospector named Mikhail Koroteski stumbled upon one of these structures and recounted spending the night inside with his companions. According to his account, shortly after, one of his companions lost all his hair, and he developed 2 pustules on his cheek that never healed. In 2006, a research team led by Ivan McCurl located one of these domes. Their equipment detected unusual electromagnetic variations, and every member of the team suddenly fell ill. While the metal of the structures might seem like copper at first glance, it appears to be made of an unknown material, impenetrable even though it's only a few centimeters thick. But what are the Olgias? Who built them and why? Currently, there are no official theories about these mysterious structures. For Russian ufologists, the structures are believed to be alien artifacts. Some think they are remnants of an ancient spaceship that met with an accident. Moreover, local legends frequently reference flaming spheres soaring in the sky, powerful explosions, and blazing whirlwinds, with many of these tales linked to these enigmatic structures. Russian researcher Valery Uvarov believes the domes are part of a defense system built by an ancient alien civilization to protect against meteorites and other hostile extraterrestrial entities. Some speculate that this system activated on February 14, 2013, preventing a meteorite from causing a catastrophic impact. Could the Siberian domes be evidence that an alien civilization once resided on Earth in the distant past? As of now, we don't have an answer. We know little about the origin of these structures, but new expeditions are planned in the coming years to retrieve and analyze the metal from the structures and attempt to unravel this captivating mystery. Since the emergence of Homo sapiens, through the use of primitive tools, humans have etched scenes of daily life and symbolic representations related to ancient rituals onto stones and rocks. These captivating artifacts still narrate the lives of ancient civilizations today. Rock carvings can be found all over the world. But are there any that suggest an ancestral encounter between primitive humans and aliens? For some scholars, the answer is yes, and some of these engravings can be found in Italy, in the province of Brescia, in Val Camonica. The rock carvings of Val Camonica constitute one of the most extensive collections of petroglyphs in the world. There are over 300,000 figures etched into the rock. These significant artifacts were even recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1979. The engravings of Val Camonica span a broad time frame, from the Neolithic period to the pre-Roman era. The figures depict scenes of daily life, hunting, fighting, and religious rituals. The most famous and recurring engraving is the Rosa Comuna, found over 90 times among the valley's carvings. It has become the symbol of the Lombardy region. The meaning of the engraving remains somewhat unclear. It might be related to the sun, but the debate continues. But what connects these extraordinary artifacts to the ancient astronaut theory? Some of these engravings have mysterious characteristics. One engraving in particular has caught the attention of researchers. It depicts anthropomorphic figures with what appears to be a sort of helmet on their heads, partially transparent, reminiscent of an astronaut's helmet. The two figures hold mysterious objects that might be hunting tools or some form of technological device. The two astronauts hypothesis, championed by Professor Alexander Kasanev, gained significant attention and led to the discovery of similar engravings in various parts of the world, from Africa to South America. Could ancient astronauts have encountered the ancient peoples of Val Camonica? Currently, there is no concrete evidence. Most scholars believe the engraving depicts a hunting scene or a ritual. The helmets of the two presumed astronauts could simply be ornaments worn to signify a social role within the community. Similar adornments are still worn by various tribes around the world today. The ancient astronaut theory remains a captivating idea, but at the moment, it's just a hypothesis without solid objective evidence. However, the allure of the Val Camonica engravings remains undiminished. The numerous petroglyphs, even today after millennia, continue to narrate the daily life, rituals, and beliefs of people who lived in a distant past. Our journey ends here for now, but we'll be back soon to discuss more, as there's so much more to explore about the ancient astronaut theory. See you soon.